Welcome to our guide on meeting etiquette. In our organization, a meeting is not just a conversation, it is a significant operational investment. When we gather a team for a period of time, we are deploying expensive resources to solve a problem. Therefore, etiquette is not about politeness, it is about efficiency. Today, we will define the standard for the entire life cycle of a meeting, from the strategic scheduling of the invite to the final documentation of outcomes. By following these protocols, we ensure that every minute spent together yields a high return on investment. Let's begin by reviewing the key topics we will cover today. To master meeting etiquette, we will cover 8 specific areas. We begin with calendar invitations and attendance confirmation, setting the stage before the meeting starts. Next is the arrival protocol, ensuring we handle technology and timing correctly. Once the session begins, we will define the agenda and presentation standards for your materials. We will then establish rules for digital discipline and active participation to maximize focus. And finally, we will close the loop with documenting outcomes, ensuring every discussion leads to action. The efficiency of a meeting is determined before the invite is even drafted. It starts with the scheduling request. Whether you are using email or Teams, clarity is paramount. Ensure your subject line is specific and the body clearly defines the purpose. Then avoid the open-ended trap of asking, "When are you free?" Instead, always propose 2 specific time slots. Here is an example. This eliminates the back and forth negotiation and secures a time immediately. Once the slot is agreed upon, we move to the formal stage. In a calendar invite, the purpose serves as the anchor. It tells the recipient why their time is needed before they even look at the details. First, the title. Make it specific to the purpose. A title like Design Review immediately sets the context, unlike a vague meeting or sync. Second, the schedule. Define the exact start and end time. If this is a recurring series, like a weekly review, mark the frequency clearly so it blocks the calendar ahead of time. Third, the people. You can check availability beforehand to ensure key stakeholders are free. Then distinctly identify the organizer and the essential participants. When these details align with the purpose, the recipient can confidentially click yes and come prepared. Moving to the day of the meeting, we practice attendance confirmation. For critical meetings, relying solely on email is often insufficient. We recommend sending a final reminder via instant messaging channels like Telegram or WhatsApp in the morning. This action verifies that all key decision makers are present and have not been pulled into other tasks. If a critical stakeholder is unavailable, this buffer allows you to reschedule immediately rather than discovering the absence after the call begins. Additionally, this reminder prompts attendees to open any pre-read materials, ensuring they are prepared when the session starts. Next is the arrival protocol for online meetings. The requirement is to join the meeting link 1 minute prior to the scheduled start. Use this minute to perform a technical check. Ensure your microphone is selected correctly and your camera is turned on. Visual presence is mandatory for engagement. Troubleshooting these technical aspects during the meeting time consumes valuable minutes intended for discussion. For in-person meetings, the standard is different. You must arrive 5 minutes early. This additional buffer is necessary to connect physical cables, test the room's projector or monitor, and ensure your screen share is ready. By completing these checks beforehand, we ensure the meeting launches effectively at the exact start time without logistical delays. Once the meeting is in session, the host must establish the framework. Begin by verbally restating the primary objective and the agenda structure. It is best practice to allocate specific time blocks to each item. For example, designate the first 10 minutes for status updates and the subsequent 20 minutes for strategic planning. This verbal roadmap keeps the discussion aligned with the goal. If the conversation deviates, refer back to this framework to steer the group back to the core topics. Regarding presentation materials, all slides and documents must utilize the official company branding templates to maintain internal consistency. Ensure the company logo is clearly visible on every asset. Strictly follow the official color palette without error, and exclusively use the designated brand typography. Furthermore, the volume of content must match the allocated time slot. For a 20-minute segment, prepare a high-level summary rather than an exhaustive presentation. If complex data review is required, circulate the documents as a pre-read 24 hours in advance. By separating information consumption from decision-making, the meeting stays focused on decisions. During the session, we enforce digital discipline. To maintain efficiency, place mobile devices on silent mode and, if possible, face down. If participating via a computer, close email clients and messaging applications that are not relevant to the meeting. Checking notifications interrupts the flow of information and often results in requests for information to be repeated. By eliminating these distractions, attendees can absorb the information once and respond accurately. The next requirement is active participation. Attendees are expected to contribute verbally, using their expertise to move the discussion forward. Passive observation is discouraged. If you're in the room, your input is required. Additionally, all participants share responsibility for time management. Monitor the clock throughout the session. If the end time is approaching, assist the host in wrapping up the discussion and summarizing the final points. This collective effort ensures the meeting concludes on schedule. Finally, we complete the process by documenting outcomes. The host must prepare and circulate the minutes of meeting, or MOM, shortly after adjournment. This document must strictly record the functional outputs of the session. List the specific decisions reached, the action items generated, and the assigned owner for each task, with a corresponding deadline. Circulating this document establishes accountability and serves as the reference point for the next stage of work. Lease. Refer to the example displayed here for the correct MOM format. This is the standard minutes of meeting structure, followed by our company. To ensure consistency, we use this standard minutes of meeting template. It is designed with 3 critical sections. First, the attendance tracker at the top. This logs who is present, absent, or late, creating immediate accountability for participation. Second, the action log. This is the engine of the document. For every item discussed, we must fill in 4 specific columns. The description of the activity, the person responsible, the target date for completion, and the current status. Finally, the administrative footer at the bottom. This section mandates the next meeting date to ensure continuity. It also requires the prepared by name and a physical signature. This formally validates the document and confirms who is accountable for the accuracy of these records. Here is what a properly completed document looks like. Notice that there is no ambiguity. Every row has a clear owner and the document is signed and dated. Ensure you circulate the minutes of meeting within 24 hours of the session's end. This ensures that our meeting is not just a conversation, but a binding contract for action. Let's review the complete framework of our meeting etiquette. It begins with calendar invitations, which establish the clear purpose. This triggers the need for prompt attendance confirmation to respect the planning process. On the day of the event, adherence to the arrival protocol ensures a punctual start. Once live, the discussion is governed by setting the agenda, supported by materials that strictly meet presentation standards. To maintain focus, digital discipline is enforced, clearing the path for meaningful active participation. Finally, the session concludes by documenting outcomes, turning the conversation into a binding record. Effective meetings are not an exception, they are a discipline. By implementing these standards, we move from a culture of busyness to a culture of effectiveness. Every clear agenda, every on-time arrival, and every documented decision adds up. When we respect the process, we respect our colleagues' time and energy. Let's commit to these practices and ensure that every meeting drives real value.